Those areas you mentioned, has anyone gone? Because I still want us to talk about enlightenment. Mr. Obani talked about enlightenment. How well have we been, or have you been able to enlighten the people concerning this new law in places like Mushin, Agege, and all those areas? Those areas you just mentioned, are they aware of these laws? Because if they're not part and parcel of this law, that means at the end of the day, we'll also be having some other places you go to in Lagos, they look so beautiful, and you go to some other places, you would want to call them slums. We remember the last time we spoke with you, you said Lagos is trying to see how they can phase out all the slums here in Lagos. Yeah. So are they also on the same page with you? Do you think they are aware of this new law?
Oh, they are. You know, enlightenment and public education is a continuous exercise. We do it both at the formal and informal level. At the formal level is the media, on television, on radio, in the newspapers. But at the informal level, we engage the stakeholders. You have the Community Development Association, Resident Association. We regularly engage them on this new law, even on the traffic law. You will see the government has been engaging stakeholders, several civil society groups, even manufacturer association, that's business groups, market leaders, and several others. You know, it's a constant thing. Sometimes you may not necessarily see us on television or in the newspaper, but it's constantly. We are always engaging people on a daily basis.
You know, there was a time where we see government, they come out, they say it's a tree planting exercise. And today we were talking about erosion. We also remember that we also suffer from wind erosion and some other types of erosion. Is your ministry thinking of giving out handouts by way of giving out flowers to people and say, well, for the first quarter, we will give you flowers to beautify your homes. And now it behoves on you to nurture those flowers and watch them grow.
No, what we do is we give seedlings out for tree planting. You know, we have this annual tree planting exercise. We are planting over 3.5 million trees in Lagos as of today. It's an annual thing, and we want to continue it. And recently, I was at an event. I think College of Medicine, Idiaraba, University of Lagos, they were doing their anniversary, 10th anniversary. They asked for seedlings. We gave them an attended. There are several groups that come for seedlings in our ministry. We gave it out to them.
For free, or they have to pay a fee?
For free. We give it out. Only for those who
isn't the flowers are so expensive? We thought you should also give flowers out.
No, well, I believe that flowers, we have public parks and gardens that we do for the generality of the people. But we can't give out flowers. I believe that that's a private thing. But for trees are more beneficial to the general public because they protect our environment, even from the so-called from the effect of climate change and several others, even from erosion. And so we are more interested in projecting tree planting campaign than more flowers. I believe that flowers people can do that at the individual level.
The law talks about failure to control animals, or allowing their defecation or engaging in an unhygienic use of fountains, pools, waters in parks, gardens, open spaces. They're all prohibited. Yeah. How does the state want to enforce that? Do you register animals to people who own them?
No, I'll give you an example of that. Let's say somebody is rearing a cow, and your cow strays into a public park or garden and so on. We are apart from looking for the owner who will pound the cow. We've done a lot of that.
The owners are usually with the cows anyway.
Yes, they are usually with the cows. You have dogs and so on and so on. If you can't find the owner, you seize it. And that's what we've been doing, really.
So you have your officials go around.
Oh, the car.
See any dog that defecates, they grab the
officials have been doing that. They've done a lot, particularly in the Lagos Island, in Ikoyi, Lekki, where it's very common. And also, there was a time along Western Avenue, we saw some people, stray cows and so on. They're impounded. And then you find people defecating or urinating. And so once they are arrested, they are taken to the mobile court.
Well, people have also said that in the places where you make these laws, you also have to have alternatives. Do we have enough public toilets that are, in shape for people to use?
We've been building a lot of public toilets of recent. We also encourage local governments as well as other, particularly the Minister of Women Affairs have done a lot in that regard. Even you still find in some places, I'll give you an example of Lagos Island, where you see a lot of public toilets. You still find people buying that public toilets to go and mess up somewhere. So it's a question of whether people are really imbibed the civil ethics as one would expect from a reasonable man.
I was going to ask, if the law has kicked in, I mean, enforcement of the law, but it would seem that it has with the, even it seemed that he had kicked in even before the law was already made. Was that the situation?
That the thing started before?
Yeah, that the law was already enforced before.
Just like the traffic law, what people don't realize that there are aspects of traffic law that are already in our criminal code. There are aspects of this law, or they are part of our environmental law. Originally, we have sanitation law 2003 that is being enforced already. So if you don't even apply this law, you can easily apply sanitation law 2003 against anybody, particularly for stray animals, for people urinating or defecating in public places. That allows it. So I don't even have to apply the education law for you before you can be dealt with. So
what about that noise pollution law? How does it work?
The only new thing that the petitioner has done is that it has given alternative. It can be sentenced to custodial sentence. It can be given custodial sentences instead of taken to jail. That is the new thing that the petitioner has introduced.
Okay, so for
non-custodial sentences.
Okay, for those who graze, they have to restrict themselves to a particular area.
Yeah, you cannot even. There's not a place for you to even graze in the metropolitan city of Lagos. You can go to Badagry, can go to Ikorodu and go and graze, but you can't just be grazing for Ikorodu Road or Western Avenue. Why will you graze in that kind of a place? It's indecent.
Okay. The noise pollution, how does it work? Do your officials go around because if people don't complain and your officials are passing through, they see some sort of sound, blaring, disturbing, are they supposed to walk in and say, this is disturbing? Could you tell me?
In fact, that's the most problematic thing that we have now. On a daily basis, you find a lot of people testing me that come and see churches in our area, people blaring speakers and so on. It's the most one. But what we are trying to do, particularly the religious organization, churches and mosques, you can find some streets in Lagos now. We are on the street, you can find almost about 7 churches and almost about 4 mosques. People there cannot rest. There's no way that we can get their house together. We still have a lot of complaints, and I think in the next few months or so, the government will be meeting the religious leaders, because the issue of religion is a very, very delicate, it's an emotional thing, and we feel that we should engage the religious leaders. Maybe they can talk to the owners of these churches and mosques before we start coming out with enforcement.
Yeah, because the messages will still be heard anyway if you restrict it within the area you're preaching to. Because
there's a way by which you can do your loudspeakers. You can have a soundproof system. We've been doing that. We insist upon that. Recently, we have had to intervene to do a lot of enforcement. We had insisted that you must have you must have a soundproof system. We've had to shut down some churches and mosques of recent, but we don't make noise about it.
You warn them ahead of time.
We warn them. You give them time. Sometimes we do mediation. We call the parties to the ministry. We have a mediation section in the ministry. We don't do enforcement if there are parties in an area, because we want to promote peace and what we call communal togetherness, and so it's not necessary that you have to do enforcement. You can bring the two together, and the parties, they make their case.